This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1061 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Driving Radio Show and was originally broadcast way back in 2011. This is the first of a 6-part series about the 5 elements in Chinese medicine with Dr. Wendy Ying and Glenn the Geek, and it was so popular that we thought it might be fun to revisit or listen for the first time. And we'll get right to our tip after this important message from Uncle Jimmy's. Uncle Jimmy's Hanging Balls and Licky Things help combat stall boredom by providing your horse entertainment in the stall, while at the same time providing them with much-needed minerals and nutrients not found in other treats. Uncle Jimmy's has training treats covered, too, with Uncle Jimmy's Squeezy Buns. Every deliciously soft, squishy treat is individually wrapped for freshness, so your pockets won't get gummed up. Ask for Uncle Jimmy's Hanging Balls, Licky Things, and Squeezy Buns at your local tack and feed supplier, or you can go online to uncle-jimmys.com.
As we said earlier in the show, Wendy is also a doctor of veterinary medicine. She is a vet and also practices traditional Chinese medicine here in the United States. And I thought it'd be really cool. I talked her into it, doing a traditional Chinese medicine sort of segment every week at the end of the show. And we had you on the Stable Scoop show, Helene and I did, and we thought we were going to talk about combined driving. We talked 3/4 of the time about Chinese medicine, didn't we?
I know. Yeah, we did. Well, the thing is about Chinese medicine, what we started talking about was the 5 elements. And the 5-element theory is not just related to veterinary medicine or, medicine, but that theory is used in all different aspects of Chinese life, like there's some kung fu associated with it. There is feng shui, like designing your life. So basically, it's a theory that a lot of Asian people subscribe to, and it's a way of categorizing things to explain their behavior. So in
what
go ahead.
way do you mean categorizing things?
Well, like there's 5 elements, and these elements are related to like natural properties. So like, for example, the 5 elements are wood, fire, earth, water, and metal. And you have to remember that this theory was thought up 4,000 years ago. So it was a way to explain the natural world that people could understand. But because it's pattern recognition, it works very well for disease processes. I am not an expert on design, so I don't know how it works for design. But basically...
does it relate to your personality?
It relates to your personalities. And when I give talks, especially with dressage people and a lot of driving people also, but especially with dressage people, they love to hear about the personality of them and their horse and then how they relate, because then that can help you with performance and your relationship with your animals. And I think that's what Helena liked the most out of that talk.
Well,
because I categorized her and her horse.
I got to tell you, within 5 minutes, you had her pegged, and I'm telling you were right on about her and her horse. And by the way, they didn't match. They weren't a good match.
Yeah, they didn't.
As evidenced by the fact that a week before that, which you didn't know, that the horse had dumped her and she pretty much screwed up her knee for a year.
Oh, no.
You didn't know that at the time.
I didn't know that.
And when you told her that they weren't well matched, she had just fallen off and gotten dumped.
Right.
And it was just... you had me at that point.
It was like I was a psychic.
Yeah, it's like you're in her mind.
But it's not. But it does seem like that. It does seem like you're a psychic. But really, it's just pattern recognition. And also, the thing is, like, she's a fire type person, which I will get into more during this series. But a fire type person is always going to pick the water horse, and that's what she did. And then it's an end in disaster.
Yep. And I think you had me pretty well pegged, too. And that only took you about 5 minutes. But then I'm pretty transparent. Anybody who listens to the shows for any period of time.
Well, you have to be kind of outgoing to have 8 radio shows.
Yeah. But so what you're going to do over the next 5 weeks is we're going to give an overview, a more detailed overview of each of the 5 elements, right?
Right. Each of the 5 elements and then how they relate to each other, because all the 5 elements relate to each other. And each element, like I'm just going to break it up because I only have 5 minutes. I could go on forever, but each element is related to a dominant type of personality. So if you can classify your horse to its personality and then kind of understand what your dominant personality is, then you can figure out your relationship with them. And like Helena's problem might not be resolved. It's going to be hard. She's going to be fighting her personality to have a good relationship with that horse.
But yet you said, because it also applies to animals and people, you
Right.
said that her and I are actually a good fit because of, I forget which I was. I was,
I think you're Earth.
yeah, and you said earth and fire seem to go together?
Yeah, they do. They go well together because a fire is really outgoing and can get overly excited, whereas the earth is very laid back and, nurturing. So you guys balance out. But if you have like 2 fires on a show, that no one will ever get to talk. None of the guests will have any time to talk.
So we're going to have to figure out by the end of this which you are.
I know.
This is going to be fascinating. So
I kind of think I'm a wood because I'm kind of crabby a lot of times.
So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about the 5 elements. And what you're going to want to listen for is which element are you and which element is your horse or your other animals,
Right.
your dogs for that matter.
Yes, it works very well with dogs and cats.
Or spouse. Which one is your spouse and are you compatible?
The spouse is really, that can be helpful or hurtful. Because you almost don't want to know too much.
Yeah, that's
so you
true.
might overthink it and say,
That's true.
you know what, you're only doing that because you're a
And let
metal.
me put the
I can't
disclaimer
stand
in
that.
here now. We're not responsible for any divorces
No.
or anybody selling their horses. We are not
No.
responsible for that. I'm just adding that disclaimer for the benefit of the Horse Radio Network and Dr. Wendy Ying.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks for looking out for me.
You're welcome.
Well, that about takes care of it. You can find links to today's guests, topics, or products at horsetipdaily.com. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of Uncle Jimmy's and listeners like you. The Horse Radio